Good day, everyone. I am Shania Twain Canyadilia, and today, me and my group mates will be answering the question, which moral leaders or personalities figured prominently during these wars? During the Spanish Moral War, some great personalities figured prominently. If Luzon and Visayan leaders like Diego Silang, a rebel leader who conspired with British forces to overthrow the Spanish in the northern Philippines and establish an independent Ilocano nation, Francisco Dagohoy, who promised himself that he will correct and take justice the wrong done to his brother and led the revolt against the Spanish people, Magalat, who said to have committed atrocities against his fellow natives for refusing to rise up against the Spaniards, Juan de la Cruz Palares, who led a revolt against the colonial authorities during the 18th century, and others are venerated as heroes because they defied the Spaniards. Why can't we consider the likes of Dato Sirungan, the Sultan of Sulu, Dato Amay Pakpak, the defender of Maruhoy, the Sultan Kudarat, the Sultan of Maguindanao as heroes? After all, they too fought the Spanish colonizers gallantly, perhaps even more impressive and valorous than their Luzon and Visayan counterparts. Datu Sirungan was the Raja of Buayan who kindly treated his prisoners, including the Jesuit priest Melchor Hurtado. Hurtado lived among the Maguindanaoans for about a year in 1603, described the Datu as someone who knew the Islamic law, avoided wine and pork, and forced not Visayan Christians living in his realm to embrace Islam. According to Hurtado, although the Maguindanaoans' beliefs are false, they give to their vain rites and rubrics a seriousness of attention which we ordinarily fail to give to those of our true religion. An inspector general who had been sent from Hulu reprimanded the young men because when they were at worship in their mosque, a worship performed after their costume with many prostrations and genuflections and bows of head towards west, they did it with little reverence, turning their faces this way and that way in a way that detracted from the attention and respect with which they ought to address God. For this reason, when the hour of worship sounded, even a slave was permitted to take his master by the shoulders and turn him towards the west. And even if the Raja himself were to pass by, he should get no attention from them. They say that Sirungan one day while performing his vain worship, he was bitten by a poisonous centipede. It was a painful bite. It moved him as little as though he were a piece of stone. Only after he had finished his prayer did he put his hand inside his clothes, for he said, he considered it lack of reverence to scratch oneself while speaking with God. Datu Sirungan did not hesitate to fight the Spaniards when necessary. After the Spaniards committed several atrocities in the 1590s, the Datu attacked the Spanish-controlled territories of Panay, Negros, and Cebu with 50 vessels and 3,000 warriors. In that attack, he carried back 800 Visayan captives, some of whom, as reported by Hurtado, embraced Islam without being forced.
Good morning everyone, especially to you ma'am. By the way, I am Rufami Yukamas. So today, I'm going to discuss another Moro leader who figured prominently during the Spanish Moro Wars was Dato Busan or Raja Busan, Sultan of Mindanao. He is a commander in the third stage of the Moro Wars and most known for his speech at Dulag, later where he called to action the Datos of Leyte to face the Spaniard. He successfully launched an invasion in Central Visayas with his allies and comrades. Dato Busan was the one who attacked the town Dulag and Leyte, captured several hundred inhabitants, forced the Waray Datos to include the Blood Compact with him and exhorted them to side with the Maguindanaos and fight the Spaniard. So ito yung sinulat ni H. de la Costa kung ano ang nangyari sa araw ng Blood Compact. Moreover, the blood compact of Busan and the Datos of Leyte was very significant because it imposed an attempt of part of the Christianized and Islamic natives to evoke a feeling of belongingness by performing a ritual that is rooted in our common pre-colonial past or module cogently observed. What is significant about this blood compact? What is implication? Despite the pre-Islamic and pre-Christian character of this ceremonial, the Muslim and the Christian native participated appropriately without hesitation in this ritual. Christians could not have failed to recognize that the ceremony recalled a pagan past, while the Muslims must have known too well that drinking of blood was a religious taboo. It may therefore the conjecture that the chef who entered into the pact must have recognized. However, regularly a common racial beginning or cultural history, and that at the bottom the common enemy of the Datos of Leyte and Maguindanao were the Spaniard. So another gallant Moro leader who figured prominently during the Spanish-Moro War was the Sulu Sultan Raha Bungsu. Raha Bungsu of Sulu, a Brunei hero in his time. Sultan Muawali Wasit is his tausug name. In the ninth Sultan Sulu and was also known as Raha Bungsu. His birth name was Pangeran sa Bandar Mahaji Lila and was the youngest son of former Sultan of Brunei Muhammad Hassan. Before he became Sultan, he was known as Raha Bungsu to the Spaniards. This sultan was described as having noble character and knowledgeable in affairs of states. Local Sulu written source known as Kitabs. Kitab means as Arabic book. Mentioned that he had fought hard and long against the white men of land, the sea. In Spanish source, he had held responsible for attacking the Spanish shipyard in Camarines, brought their backyard and the unfinished ships. Raha Bungsu spent several days of eating and drinking in the shipyard as complete master of the place and departed with 300 captives. Captives means it's a person who has been taken as prisoner. So ito yung mga bihag nila, including a Spanish lady named Doña Lucia. It was said that Raha Bungsu became fond of this Spanish lady so that when she was returned to the Spaniard, the Sultan never asked visit. Raha Bungsu spent several days of eating and drinking in the shipyard as complete master of the place and departed with 300 captives. Captive means a person who has been taken as prisoner, so ito yung mga bihag nila, including a Spanish lady named Doña Lucia. It was said that Raha Bungsu became fond of this Spanish lady, so that when she was returned to the Spaniard, the Sulu Sultan never asked for a ransom, which was a deviation from the usual practice. The Maranaos too produced a brave leader during the Spanish-Moro Wars in the person of Dato Imak Papak, who offered a gallant resistance to Governor General Guillermo Villar. Dato Akader Akubar, March 10, 1895, better known as Imay Papak, was a Maranao military leader who is noted for leading the Maranao resistance against Spanish colonization of the Lanao region in the 1890s. So, ang trabaho niya ay military leader. Another name niya is Imay Papak. Namatay siya noong 1895 Fort Marawi, Dansalan. Dato Imay Papak frustrated Villar's ambition to colonize the Lake Lanao region with he fortified Marawi and resisted the colonization's efforts of the Spaniard there. Despite the major operation mobilized by the Governor General, Datu Imay Papak succeeded in punishing the Spanish force to return to the base in North Lanao. In the second expedition, however, this time headed by Governor General Blanco, who replaced Wheeler in 1895, Imay Papak fort fell despite addition defense there. The brave Dato, his son, 23 other Datus, and 150 other Maranaos defending Kota. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Carmela A. Carion, the reporter for the Module 7, which is the which moral leaders personalities figure prominently during these wars. So my topic for today's video is all about Sultan Kudarat, which is the continuation of my co-reporter's report. So to start, who of course has not heard the name Sultan Kudarat? So the fact that the town and an entire province was named after him was not without basis. So who is Sultan Kudarat? Sultan Kudarat is the greatest of the Magindanaon leaders, just like his father Datu Buisan. His father Datu Buisan fought the Spaniards and brought peace to almost all of South and Central Mindanao for almost half a century through peace treaty that kept the colonizers out of his dominion, which at the height of his power ranged from the Davao Gulf to parts of Lanao and the Iliana Bay to the Zamboanga Peninsula and the island of Basilan. The Maguindanao leader was known for his intelligence, tactfulness, and gallantry. At one point, in 1637, when Governor General Sebastian Hurtado de Corcuera launched an attack against him, Sultan Kudarat's capital was captured, with himself even wounded. Although he managed to escape death from his attackers, but his wife was not as fortunate. It was believed that while holding her infant child, she threw herself over a cliff to avoid capture. For any ordinary person, such as incident could break one's heart and throw a loving father to blinding hatred and revenge. In 1639, Sultan proved to be chivalrous. He managed to ambush an attacking force, captured the Spanish Marines alive, treated the wounded among them, and then released them as a sign of his goodwill after entering a peace treaty with the Spaniards. Sultan Kudarat was known for his patriotic speech addressed to Maranaos of Lake Lanao who showed friendly tendencies towards Spaniards. Speech was recorded by the Jesuit priest Combes as follows. So below here, this is the speech of Sultan Kudarat. What have you done? Do you realize what subjection would reduce you to? A toilsome slavery under the Spaniards. Turn eyes to the subject nations and look at the misery to which such glorious nations had been reduced to. Look at the Tagalogs and Visayans. Are you better than they? Do you think that the Spaniards consider you of better stuff? Have you not seen how the Spaniards trample them under their feet? Do you not see every day how they are obliged to work at the oars and factories with all their rigors? Can you tolerate everyone with a little Spanish blood to beat you up and grasp all fruits of your labor? Allow yourselves to be subject today and tomorrow. You will be at the oars. I at least will be a pilot. The biggest favor they promises facilitate their deceits, which little by little enable them to control everything. Reflect how even the mirror promises to the chiefs, rather than nations, were not honored until they become masters of them all. See now what is being done to these chiefs and how they are being led by a rod. So that is the patriotic speech addressed by Sultan Kudarat to the Maranaos of Lake Lanao. And that would be all. Thank you so much for watching.